We have a special guest joining us now, Philip Holloway, certified flight instructor, attorney, former police officer, so you can hit this on a lot of different fronts. Any of those theories strike a chord with you? And again, a lot of people want answers, and so that's where they're going.
Well, by and far, the one that strikes the most truth to me is the aliens. But no, in all seriousness, as Sherlock Holmes said, once you eliminate the impossible, then whatever's left, no matter how unlikely it may be, must be the truth. Now, what we know, and I trust the NTSB, I think, more than anybody else now that they're finally involved in it, what we have is we have knowledge that the engines were operating for 4 or 5 hours after radar contact was lost. That's because, as you mentioned, these engines have data reporting equipment that sends real-time information about what they're doing back to the airline and back to Rolls-Royce. So, what to me makes the most sense is there was some sort of catastrophic, sudden decompression, which would lead to an almost instantaneous incapacitation of the flight crew, and you wind up with a Payne Stewart type situation. The airplane's full of fuel. It had only been off the ground a short period of time. We don't know yet what the autopilot settings may or may not have been, but you could have this aircraft literally meandering around for hours and hours and hours until it runs out of fuel and crashes somewhere, possibly in the Indian Ocean, even within that circle that was just mentioned.
Got it. And that is one of the theories. As we look at some of the bigger picture theories here, and we're going to kind of focus in on 4 of them, that's one of them, uncontrolled decompression there in the cabin. You mentioned golfer Payne Stewart. You might remember that story. The golfer was on a flight, all the cabin pressure left, and basically you die quickly, right? And then everyone was on that, and it was just a sad situation, but it was a floating coffin, right, or a flying coffin.
Well, it's minus 60 degrees outside, and they're basically, everybody's frozen to death pretty quickly.
Got it. Any of the, what terrorism, and you look at terrorism, you know, taken to a secret island, maybe the plane was blown up, any of those strike a chord as you look at the big 4 here?
Well, I don't think you can rule out anything at this point because we don't have enough information. And yes, it is theoretically possible to land this airplane in 6,000 or 7,000 feet of turf, or perhaps a small airstrip on an island somewhere, if you don't plan to take it off again, because it needs about 10,000 feet to take off. But if that had happened, one would think that we would have heard something by now from whoever's responsible. You can't rule out any nefarious commandeering, however. I think that's a possibility.
Got it. Philip, thanks so much. So it sounds like to you, of the 4, the uncontrolled decompression in the cabin could be the one here.